Coley, it is finally Test match week. It is here. We've spoken about it for ages. It's all been building towards this. I'm proper excited. The Lions have just flown from Adelaide to Brisbane as they get ready for Test 1. They dispatched the AUNZ Invitational team and it set them up brilliantly for the first Test.
Yep, and listeners, viewers can go back to Saturday's podcast where we've done a sort of breakdown of that game. But yeah, now we're on to the Tests. I say the Lions they've moved. Andy Farrell said in his post-game comments, I think they're flying Sunday midday from Australian time, from Adelaide to Brisbane, and then they'll train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Sort of probably go at it. It says they have a performance day on Wednesday, which I guess is a physical day, and they'll be sharpening the sword then. And then, yeah, they'll be ready for the test. So an exciting week ahead for the Lions.
It is indeed. I've actually been to Adelaide, Coley. I did England Sevens out in Adelaide.
I was going to ask, have you ever been? Because I've never been. Somewhere I'd like to go. Potentially. I've heard it's quite a sort of relaxed, not a big city, but it's quite spaced out. But yeah, how did you find it then?
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, like I say, spaced out, very different. And then I remember doing sea recovery. We had to do sea recovery, and I remember everyone was like obviously bricking it because great white sharks are quite notorious in Adelaide, in the south of Australia. So yeah, I remember doing
is it actually true?
Recovery.
Because everywhere we go, every time we went to Perth, it was like, great white sharks. Go to Sydney, it's like great white sharks. Go to like Brisbane, great white sharks. Everywhere you go in Australia, surely there's somewhere in Australia that doesn't have sharks.
Yeah, well, Adelaide is known for it. So so that obviously put the fear of God into me. But yeah, it was all right. We did England Sevens there, so it was like one of the World Sevens, and I did that and played there for a week. It was all right, to be fair. I mean, obviously Australia is sort of moving the Lions here, there, everywhere, obviously, to sort of give exposure to the tour and maximise all these different destinations. And so sort of a big trek again as they move back to Brisbane. And really like Brisbane. Brisbane's a cracking city, actually, Coley. So, and also Suncorp, one of the best places to play. I love that. Because actually, when you look at Adelaide, for instance, in the game at the weekend, like look how far everyone is away from the pitch. Like we've mentioned it a few times already, but Aussie have some great stadiums, but a lot of them are obviously either cricket stadiums or they're AFL stadiums, and they're just so far away from the pitch. Where this weekend you're in Brisbane, the city will be absolutely buzzing. There'll be like red shirts everywhere, and Suncorp is a cracker because the fans feel like they're sort of proper on top of you and engaged, and it's a very different feel to when they're miles away.
Isn't the second test at the MCG?
Yeah, you've got 100,000 there, but equally, like, you are miles from the pitch.
I think in terms of like taking the game to Adelaide is great. I think, Lions, you are a show. If you're a fan, you just don't want to be stuck between Brisbane, Canberra, Sydney. I think, it's great that it moves around. That's what the tour's about. And I think, the Lions will probably be, as players, it's a little, I mean, it's not ideal for performance, but again, you learn to deal with it. And that's one of the great things about Lions is you kind of like, in an ideal world, you get there, you spend a week in a hotel room, you unpack all this kind of stuff, whereas actually, that's what you think is performance, but actually you learn that you don't have to do that to be able to play at the weekend or play in the midweek and be good. You don't have to be 100%. You don't have to be mentally totally prepared and physically all this kind of stuff. Is you can actually play rugby when it's a bit different. It takes you out of your comfort zone, which I think is great experience for these players on tour. One thing I learned on tour is that everything didn't have to go right. It didn't have to have the best night's sleep. It didn't have to have this. Like, you can still perform even if your legs don't feel 120%. So anyway, but I think it's great for the tour that it moves around. So yeah.
It is good, but I still would have rather seen Fiji play the Lions in the Gold Coast or something like that. But anyway, we've got a question from Amy. How much will the Lions love being in the same place for a whole week?
Well, just touch on that. I think they will enjoy it, yes. I think finally the tour's been coming thick and fast. Like, you've probably spent, even in Perth when you first landed, you probably only had 5 or 6 days there before the first game. I think they will enjoy maybe getting to unpack their bags a bit, just to relax. There'll probably be more time in the training week in regards to actually going out for a coffee Thursdays, maybe after training, because you're not worried about, there's no midweek game for you to focus on or, prepare for a pre-match meal, meetings for. You can probably relax a bit, and then the training will still be intense, but just off the field, I think you can probably just breathe out a bit, and then as it ramps up in the week. So no, I think the players, as a player, you enjoy. You've seen Australia, you've been around, you've done the sort of frenetic part, but now test is on. You can sort of settle in and prepare.
Ben Earl said post-match that he was sort of sick of living out of a bag. That is part of it. As tour, you're here, there, everywhere. The games come thick as fast, as you say, Coley, and it is. You are living out of a suitcase and you're changing rooms all the time and you're never quite settled. As you mentioned, that's why having a week in one place will will feel incredibly refreshing, and also sharpen the focus. Just highlight once again, like it is showtime now.
It certainly will. We have a question from Ricky. Hypothetically, if Big Faz picked Little Faz to start in the first test, would he lose the dressing room?
No, he wouldn't. Not the dressing room, because Big Faz, Andy Farrell is up there with one of the top coaches in the world. He's shown that, he's proven that, and he's still continuing to do that. You don't get the Lions head coach role without being a brilliant coach, and we all know he is. Like, Coley, we've been fortunate to be coached by him, and you'd say that he's probably only getting better and better each year. The respect and aura that he holds within the playing circles, within everyone, like, it wouldn't at all, because you absolutely buy into every word he says. You buy into his theory, and you absolutely trust him as a coach, and you trust him as a player. So look, yeah, okay, good question, Ricky. It's not, in my opinion, it's not going to happen. He's not going to be involved. But like, yeah, if it did happen, like, no, absolutely would it not lose the dressing room. Everyone would crack on. Some people would be disappointed, wouldn't they, Coley? But you kind of just, it's part of the Lions. Like, there's 23 slots up for grabs, and not everyone can be in it. And yeah, there'll be some disappointed players this week, but equally there'll be some incredibly proud and excited players, and it's just the way the tour goes. Certainly.
We've got another question on Owen Farrell from Pete. Can Owen Farrell only be on the bench if the Lions go with a 5-3 split?
There's a lot of chat about whether Owen will make the test teams up. Like, we don't know, Coley, do we? All I can say is he played very, very well. He did his role. He's really accurate, really precise when he came in on the weekend. Everything that you'd expect him to be. Someone that he didn't just epitomise being there, done it, seen it all. Very similar with George Ford against Argentina. It's just like, does he just epitomise like test experience, being there, done it? I know, just about doing the right thing over and over again, and that's what he did. Now, will he make the test team? I don't know. I don't think he will, not yet. But if they go 5-3 split, then I still think that they would go. Let's say they go with Aki and Hugh Jones, for instance. Let's just say they go with them. Then I think you put a Tuipulotu on the bench because of his carry power and everything like that. And
it also depends on, say, fly half, if they can play 15, or whether your 15 can play on the wing, or whether your centres can move somewhere else. So there's a lot of moving parts that you have to consider, and it's not just a straightforward in and out job. I think at the bench you have to cover certain positions. So you have the backfield, you have to have certain positions covered in the backs, and yeah, you can go on a 6-2, but then it just depends on who your starters are and whether they've got the versatility to play elsewhere.
All I'd say is, I don't think he will be involved, but if he is involved, I certainly wouldn't look at it and go, oh, I'm surprised. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
Like, we've said enough how highly we regard him, Coley. So look, I don't think he will be in the test team for the first test. But if he is, it wouldn't surprise me either. So we've got a question from Adam. Who presented the shirts for your Lions test matches? What was it like? Good question, Adam.
I believe Sir Ian McGeechan did us, didn't he?
In 2013, I seem to remember.
I didn't play in the test 2017, but I'm pretty sure it might have been Andy Irvine, who was team manager.
I can't remember, when you get presented your shirts, I can't remember what you do with your shirts. Do you hand them back? Because sometimes I've had shirt presentations and then you hand them back. So you get your shirt and then you hand it back at the end, because the kit man then gets it and makes sure it's obviously all there for the match day, or you keep it with you. And I can't remember what we did with the Lions. I can't remember
No, I can't either.
Whether we had to keep it in and bring it ourselves. I can't really remember.
Slept in it. I've got a question from Kev. Don't mean any disrespect, but what's it like when you find out you haven't been picked for a Lions test? How does it work?
No disrespect to taken, Kev. It's just a question, and I'm happy to answer it. So 2013, I benched the first, started the second, and the third wasn't involved. And if memory serves me correctly, Rob Howley just had a really brief chat to me, just to say, look, you're not going to be involved the weekend. I'm going to go with Mike and Connor, and then Big Faz. Andy came over as well, just caught up with me, mate, and just said, like, mate, you're right. They're going to go this way, blah, blah, blah. Like, let me know if you want to chat, etc. So it's normally like one of the coaches just sort of lets you know, like, you're either playing or, look, you're not involved. But I think the Lions is just, you're all in it together. So it's not like yes, you can be disappointed, but equally you kind of just crack on. It's about winning the series, and you're part of that team.
Oh yeah, I think with my in New Zealand, the writing was on the wall, because basically I was sort of, you said you're in the midweek team, and then you look around and you're like, I don't think we're in the test team, guys. So you kind of knew. And I think basically the test team was announced, and then Graham Roundtree just sort of sat me down afterwards. It was the scrum coach, forwards coach, and just said, look, Tyke Furlong's starting, he's brilliant. Sings been playing awesome off the bench. He had so much impact and around the field, and you don't do that. And yeah, that's the way it is. And it's like, you're obviously a bit like, I'm here to play tests. But then you're a bit like, well, I've still got a job to do. I've still got to help the team prepare. I'm still part of this thing. and you get out the midweek and you have a great time with Rory Best. So it's one of those things where I say you knew before the tour is like you have a bit of sadness. Obviously, you don't get picked because ultimately it's rejection. You're not good enough. But then you kind of like, I knew before the tour. You roll the dice. You before the tour, you can either start, bench, or not play, and you take the chance of being out there and you do what you got to do. And if you're not involved, you got to still add professionalism. So that's what players do, and that's what you do. So you get on with it, and then that's part of the lines. That's just almost this sort of, you get picked beforehand because everyone on that squad, even the guys Faz is now bringing out, it's about the group and the team and making sure that test team's prepared, whether it's the starting, bench, or not involved. Like, you're there to help the Lions win, and it's not about you, it's about the Lions.
We've got a question from Stu. If Ollie Chesham plays at the weekend and the Lions ask you to send him an inspirational video, which they won't, what would you say to him?
Hi Ollie, do you remember me? We used to play together. Taught you loads of stuff, probably everything you know, Ollie. Good luck, smash it up, score a hat-trick, try a drop goal, play your game, be really good. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. I would say,
keep poking your nose through the line when you carry.
Well, I really hope that Big Red is involved. I thought he was really terrific against the Brumbies, so let's hope his selection goes his way. What would I say to him? Good luck, mate. Don't shoot yourself. You'll be fine. I'll drop him a message. But yeah, love Big Red, and he's been playing particularly well. So would love to see him go and get a test start or get a test involvement. Would be awesome. Right, I've got a question from Giles. Will the Lions regret not giving Bundy Aki and Hugh Jones combination more of a chance?
If they play together in the first test and they're really bad, then you might say, yeah, the Lions regret it. If they play together in the first test and they go well, no, they won't. But the problem is there's only so many games and, certain fitness issues, they're here and there, the other way. And you want to build some cohesiveness with the players, and you can't pick everyone with everyone else. So this, you know what I mean? Like, yes, if you could say that might be undercooked for the first test, but they know each other in training. They'll train together loads, and it's just, the Lions isn't going to be perfect. It's never perfect. No matter what team you pick, no matter what role, there's injuries and that kind of stuff. The preparation is never perfect. Doesn't mean they can't perform at the weekend and do really well.
They're all incredible players, all of them. Every single player that's out there are incredible players. And the thing is, when it's a test match and it has that test feel to it, you rise to the occasion. Like, you find more in yourself. Like, you could play against the teams they've played against so far, the franchises, the invitational team, and you could have every intent, but after 30 minutes, 50 minutes, it tends to drop off a little bit. And that's why it was so impressive at the weekend, is they didn't, it was a real professional job for the Lions. But it's easy to kind of, be a little bit slack, be a little bit loose. And I think when the test comes, if it is Bundy Aki and it is Hugh Jones, like, they're quality operators, and given the occasion alone, they'll be hyper focused, and it will work. Like, I don't doubt that it won't work.
Agree. Question from James: did you expect more from Sione Tuipulotu on this tour?
No, I think he's been very solid and tidy. I think he's, don't underestimate all the little touches that he does. I think, Hugh Jones, when he's gone through a few times, just the ability for Sione Tuipulotu to go at the line, play short, look out the back and play short, and all these little touches he's had, step up as that second distributor behind shape and everything, like carry when they've needed to carry. No, I think he's gone about his business very, very well. I think, he's played a lot of minutes. He's had to, because obviously he was a little bit pushed for game time. He got fit again for Glasgow, but, they've put him out there and he's had to play a lot of minutes. But no, I've been impressed with him. I think he's played well. I think he's played well, and I think he's, playing 12 is extremely difficult. I mean, playing halfbacks is hard, but for me, playing 12 in a new system that you've never played in, and playing a certain system like the Irish system is, where there's so much of you like out the back of shape, ball playing, then have to carry when you need to and do all these sort of things. Like, that is a hard thing to do as a 12. Bundy Aki knows it inside out. He doesn't have that luxury, and I think he's played really well. I think, given how much emphasis is on multi-phase, tight shapes and everything like that, and his role having to do it, I think he's had some lovely touches. So no, I disagree with in terms of, do I expect more? I think he's actually had a really good tour so far, and I think he's had to do a lot. It's hard.
The thing as well is, like, it's kind of, you have to divorce what you expect and what you see. And when I say expect, is sometimes I think the outside media, because Sione Tuipulotu's ceiling is so high and he's such a great player, it's like the expectation, like, the expectation gets put on him is so lofty that it's like, well, he's got to score a hat-trick every game and he's got to put this person through holes and he's got to do this and can't make a mistake and he's got to be... And if you're just solid and do your job and make others around you better, that's almost like, well, he's underperformed. No, he's still been great. And it also he's got to learn the system, as you say. So it's something else. And like, he's been good. And like, he's been really good. To say he's that 12, he's the glue that sometimes helps, the 10, 13, you play new combinations sometimes, different 10s he's played with. I know Finn's Russell, but then he's the sort of like, so Finn can do his great moments and stuff because Tuipulotu's his outlet, you know what I mean? So like, I think he's been really good. And but the expectation is, I mean, how good do you have to be to meet some people's expectations? That's what I would say. And I think that's where you've got to kind of go, actually, my expectation, I'm going to part my expectation and I'm going to go look at what he does and go, no, he's still really good. And he's been really good. And credit to him because he came into it without playing and you tear your pec, I think it was, and you haven't played in a while. That's a fairly healthy injury to get over and to get yourself back fit, running and knocking on the door for a test team. Yeah, credit to the bloke. Shows his class in that regard. Absolutely,
Coley. And, you look at Matt Hansen, he's had a great tour, but he's just done his job, hasn't he? He's chased back, hustled back when he needs to. He's chased kicks. He's plugged the corners and done the territory stuff. He's chased kicks and won in the air. Like, he's done his bits.
Matt Hansen, we probably, like yesterday's show after the review, Matt Hansen, we probably didn't give him a big enough shout, but like the fact he was chased, he does his job, but he says he chases everything. And it's remarkable. The bloke chases flat out from minute 0 to minute 80. He's getting balls back in the air, winning those balls. And yeah, I thought he was outstanding yesterday, but we sort of said we didn't mention him because we were so excited about everything else that went on. So I just like to
so big shout out to Matt Hansen, and apparently hell of a boy. We got a question from Angus. How much will the team have been hiding in the lead up to the tests? What can you expect to see that we haven't already? So I hopefully this isn't Angus Bell. But let's...
if it is Angus Bell, they've been hiding loads, mate. Absolutely.
Yeah, loads. Especially around scrum time and things like that, front peels.
I don't think they've been hiding anything. There might be certain plays off set piece, like line-out moves or goal line dropouts where you kind of go, Australia might leave the tight head here, or there might be a gap between the second and third defender here we go through. But I don't think so. There might be specific set piece moves that they'll go after. But in terms of, I think, how they defend the phase play, like you've seen the Lions shift it to the edge, you've seen the Lions be a bit more direct. I expect in the first test, the Lions would be 80% direct, 20% out the back, as opposed to probably the other way around in the earlier games. I think, but there's nothing I don't think the Lions, and Rory Best said it when he was on the show, wasn't he, that Andy Farrell's very much like, this is what we do, it's up to the opposition to stop us. So I think the way you've seen the Lions play in the earlier games is the way what they'll put forward to the test team, especially against the Brumbies, they'll put forward onto the test field on the weekend. Yes, they might be more direct, they might be more expansive, I don't know, this is going to be the fascinating thing to see, and there might be some tweaks in regards to, let's say, set plays, but I don't think the Lions have particularly been holding anything back in terms of intensity of how they play, how they defend, what they're going after, line speed, the shapes they play, off 10, off 9, that kind of stuff. I don't think they're hiding it. They might have a quirk here and there, but I think the Lions so far have been building for this test.
Yeah, I think what you've seen is you're just going to see that at more intensity and sharpen up a few little areas. Maybe mainly breakdown, I think, is the key one, especially Australia. That's Australia's in a little bit. But no, I don't think they'll be holding anything back, hiding stuff. I think, like you say, Coley, just strike moves. There'll just be some different strike moves. There might be return plays from a line out, so hit up the middle, then come back. They ran one once on Saturday. It's the first sort of one I've seen all tour. So look, there might be return plays and things like that. But in terms of their general phase attack, general kicking strategy and everything like that, I think you'll see a very similar style and defensively as well. You also haven't got time of the week to do that, and it would be mad to do that because you almost set them up to build on. And we saw a great performance, say, on Saturday. We saw a really good performance against the Brumbies. Then on Saturday, you think, why would you now start changing everything up? And as you mentioned there, Coley, Rory Best, who worked with Andy Farrell for many a year, said that they really believes in what he does and goes out and back it. So, yeah, I just expect to see the Lions play with a great intensity, and it's finally here. How exciting.
I'm looking forward to it. It's all been building to this momentous occasion. But that brings to a close our YouTube video. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, or leave us a comment underneath, whether it's a question, whether you disagree with something we say, or whatever. Feel free to comment.
Feel free, and we'll see you on Thursday. Thank you very much.
See you then.
For the love of rugby.
If you want to drop us a line, get involved with our socials.
Just search for @LoveOfRugby. And if you've listened to all our episodes and need another podcast, go and find Joe Marler's Things People Do.
See you next time.